No band leader wants to be sitting down and looking at their clock 20 minutes before showtime wondering when their drummer is going to make it through the door. They might not say anything negative to you if you show up less than a half an hour before showtime, but rest assured, if you do something like this, no matter how many chops you have, no matter how well you play, this may be the last time you play with that artist.
Your favorite drummer, all the way from Chicago, Illinois, Mr. Andrew Blaze Thomas.
Hey everybody, this is your favorite drummer, Andrew Blaze Thomas, Blues Music Award winner, and I'm happy to bring today's lesson to you. Today I'm going to be talking about time. This is another extension of part 2 of our first part 1 lesson of time. We talked about practice, how to manage your practice. Today's lecture is all from my new book, You Got the Gig, Here's How to Keep It, available on my website, andrewblazethomas.com. You can also pick this up on Amazon.com, and there's also an ebook version, and here's the physical print. You got the gig, here's how to keep it. Let's talk about the number one reason people get fired. That answer is tardiness. Tardiness will get you fired faster just than about anything will. You can actually play a bad gig with an artist and you might get an opportunity to get another chance to play the same show with that artist again. But a lot of time, being late to a gig, that could be the last straw, no matter how well you play. When you play drums for a living and you get a call for a gig, be sure to be in the building 1 hour before you play. 45 minutes the latest. You do this because you need time to find ample parking. If you play in a big city like Chicago, Nashville, New York City, or LA, you have to be an hour early before your gig because it takes a long time to find parking in some of these major cities. If you're able to use valet parking, that helps, but that immediately takes away $15 to $20 out of your pay. So, we want to save money a lot of times by parking our cars ourselves. You cannot come to the gig a half an hour before the gig, load your drums, expect to find parking, be on time without busting a sweat. It doesn't work. It's not a good look. Another advantage of showing up an hour before the gig, you have real estate of the whole stage to set up your gear. And the rest of your band can set their gear up around you. Another reason you want to show up early is because us drummers, we need to tune our drum set before we play. If you play in a colder city environment, your drums could lose tune from the time you carry them from the house to the gig, which means you get to the stage, and if there's other melody makers on the stage, guitar players, bass players, horn players, kiss a quiet room goodbye. It's very difficult to tune the drum set when there's other players on the stage noodling around on their instruments before the show or before the sound check. So it's good to get there first. You got plenty of room to set up your drums, and you have a quiet room to just really take time to dial in the sound of your drum set before the show. When you're the first person there, the band leader gets there and you beat them there before they arrive, that gives them a feeling of relief. They don't have to look around and find out or worry where their drummer is. No band leader wants to be sitting down and looking at their clock 20 minutes before showtime wondering when their drummer is going to make it through the door. They might not say anything negative to you if you show up less than a half an hour before showtime, but rest assured, if you do something like this, no matter how many chops you have, no matter how well you play, this may be the last time you play with that artist. You don't want to be late on the way to the gig and have to get the call. The call is when you're a musician and you know you're late and you're trying to get to the gig and the band leader calls your phone. You don't even want to pick up because you know they're wondering where are you. So now you have to try to make up some bull crap like, I'm in traffic, or I overslept, or I'm on my way, be there in a few minutes, knowing that it's going to take you longer than just a few minutes to get there. Eliminate all this trouble by just being an hour early before the show. Trust me, This is the key for long-lasting success in the business of playing music live. Now we're going to get into the different kinds of venues you're going to be playing. We either play in the recording studio, we either play in the bars, clubs, theaters, or festivals. So let's get into what is expected of you when you play a bar. Bar gigs are typically the longest gigs. They normally start between 9 and 9:30 at night, and they can go all the way to 2:30 in the morning, sometimes even 3:30. When you play a bar, the first set is typically 90 minutes. Then you have a 30-minute set break. Then you have another set, let's say 60 minutes. Then you have another set break. And then you have the last set of the night, which is normally 45 minutes. It could be longer, depending if there's a lot of people still in the bar drinking and it's a really, really popular place. Some bar gigs work a little different, where the first set is 75 minutes, then you have a 30-minute break, a 60-minute set, 30-minute break, and a last 20-minute set. So, bar gigs are normally 3 sets. Now that we've discussed playing in bars, let's discuss playing in clubs. Clubs is a little different because most clubs, you don't play 3 sets. A lot of times when you play a club, you are asked to play 2 sets. The order might be like 2 75-minute sets or maybe 2 60-minute sets. Clubs normally pay a little bit better than bars. Bars normally play anywhere between $100 to $150 plus tips, where normally clubs on a Friday and Saturday night start at about $125 or $150 on up. You might get $300 to play a club, maybe $250. The normal range in Chicago for a Saturday night club is like $150 plus tips, about $250. So when you play a club, show up on time, at least an hour before the set. And then the same thing, in between your set breaks, be sure to network. When it's time to go back on for the last set, be back at your instrument at least 10 to 15 minutes before showtime, just in case the band leader wants to go over the set list or give some special instructions for how to start the second set. You don't want to linger around in the crowd, in the parking lot, or somewhere else in the venue or around the venue and then walk up to your drum set 1 minute before or right as it's time to play. That's non-professional. Let's talk about theaters. Theaters are interesting. Most time when you play a theater, you're asked to be at the venue during the daytime, say 4 o'clock. That's the normal time, what they call sound check load-in time when you play a theater or a bigger venue. Now, to give you an idea of what goes on when you play theaters or bigger venues, bigger than theaters, auditoriums and stadiums and things of that nature, normally it's an all-day event. At least starting around 4 o'clock all the way to midnight and later. The cool thing about theater gigs, they start earlier. Most theater gigs start around 7:30 or 8 o'clock. Some 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock around that time. Or bar and clubs gigs start 9:30, 10 o'clock. So when you play a theater, you normally get out early. So you might start at 7 and you might be done working for the whole night by 10 o'clock at night. The thing is with theaters, oftentimes, it's an early day, so you might have to be there, load in your drum set 4 o'clock. Then you have to wait around after everybody else is loaded in. Then you might do a sound check. This might go on for an hour or two, depends on the band. And after that, you go eat dinner. Then you have doors open at 6:30, 7 o'clock. Then you might have a 7:30, 8 o'clock showtime. You may play 2 sets. If you play 2 sets at a theater, they're most of the time broken up between 40 to 45, maybe 50-minute sets, and there's like a little intermission break in the middle so they can sell some merchandise and some drinks and some things at that nature in between the 2 sets, and then there's normally a follow-up set. So I like playing theaters. They're very intimate. It takes a very pristine style of playing. Sloppy playing is not good in the theater. You really want to play clean because in the theater, everybody's really listening and it can become a very intimate experience. So for you first timers out there that haven't played your theaters yet, you will enjoy it. It's a long day, but it's rewarding. Theaters pay better than clubs and bars you should expect at least $250 to play a theater. On a small side, sometimes it's 200, but then it could go up to maybe $500. You know, sometimes even 1,000. Depends on the artist you play with. So, next we're going to move on to festivals. One of the biggest festivals in the world I have right here, Chicago Blues Fest. I played it 2018. I've been asked to show up at the Chicago Blues Festival at noon, and we didn't play till like 9 o'clock that night, so we're just hanging around all day. But you show up really early, the back line, the drums is already there, you might get an opportunity to tune your drum set, have a load-in, sound check, and then there's dinner, and then you just sit around and watch all the other bands play until you get your opportunity to play. And normally it's like a 60-minute set. Most festivals, you know, are about 75-minute sets. If you headline, it could be a 90-minute set. And it depends on what time you play, because, you know, festival, there's at least 10 bands in the course of a day, sometimes 6 bands. It all depends on what city and town you're at. So, just to know, festivals, long day. And you rarely ever get to play your drums at a festival. A lot of times they ask you to play whatever the drum set is there. Most of the time, when I play festivals, I'm playing whatever the backline gear is provided. I just bring a snare drum and my sticks. So that wraps it up for festivals. Next, I'm going to talk about what it's like and the importance of showing up on time internationally. When you play internationally, arrive at the airport 2 hours before your flight. When you play domestically, please be at the airport an hour and a half before your flight. Here's why. When you play internationally, you want to be sure that all your items make it on the plane, including yourself. If you make it to the airport half an hour and you know that you're flying overseas, you might make the flight, but your bags might not, which means that you might get off of the plane in another country with no bags. You do not want to have to worry about where your drumsticks are, your drum case, your clean underwear, and all your toiletries and everything. And then you have shows to play on a tour. So be sure to show up on time to the airport. Early arrival is definitely recommended. Today's lecture is all from my new book, You Got the Gig, Here's How to Keep It, available on my website, andrewblazethomas.com. You can also pick this up on Amazon.com, and there's also an ebook version, and here's the physical print. You got the gig, here's how to keep it. And we have been discussing in the book The Rules of Time, Chapter 3. I hope you have enjoyed today's lecture, and till next time, we will be talking about more topics from my book, You Got the Gig, Here's How to Keep It. If you like what you hear, and if you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the like button. Until next time, your favorite drummer and blues music award winner, Andrew Blaze Thomas.